If you train one individual, if that individual, helps 20,000 people in their life, and you compound that by the number of people you train, it's a special feeling.
I had an interesting experience in the late 80s. I ran into this guy named Scott Howard, and he was the president of the Utah EMT Association. And as it turns out, the guy had a lot of talent and suggested one time that maybe he could help me teach, because I was complaining that I had to teach every course in America. And I wasn't working too well about that point. Therein kind of began for me, was the belief that other advanced life support personnel could do this. And we started then finding key people. And you really kind of know, this isn't a way you can do it in an ongoing way where you've got hundreds and thousands of people, but initially it would be, you knew who they were when you met them. They just got it. The original group of people was small and very tight-knit. And in the beginning, most of these folks were all trained as instructors by either me or Scott Howard. Over time, it started to you sort of lose track, and that's where we said we've got to have standards in curriculum, we've got to have standards in how we train, there's got to be some kind of a process for evaluating instructors, the whole 9 yards.
We actually attended one of the very first instructor updates and in Salt Lake City, and we were then we recognized the need at that point that something just wasn't quite right. We knew hopefully where it could be going, and so we purposely made an appointment to meet with Dr. Clausen.
If you can bring good people together and then give them the tools, the time, and what the Academy does is the Academy uses some of your hard-earned money out there in your certification fees. That's what it does, and it brings together all kinds of groups.
I was almost in constant communication with Jeff Clausen. Jeff and I became actually pretty good friends. We were both extremely passionate about the protocols, about the card system, and he was just a plain likable guy. You just couldn't help but like him. So we instantly hit it off. We constantly exchanged information.
Sometime in probably the mid, slightly later 80s, that it became apparent after some discussions that I had actually with Bob Mills and Tony Hodges. Bob confronted me with an interesting idea, and the idea was that how are you going to evolve this thing? How are you going to expand this thing? And he brought it home where he kind of turned to me and says, Doc, what I'm really trying to say to you is, if your plane goes down on the way back to Salt Lake tomorrow morning, does this whole damn thing die? That really jump-started me. That got my attention. He was exactly right.
So as we started to develop the police and fire protocol, we decided that we obviously need to develop the curriculums that go along with that. So because the Academy is the overseer of the medical protocol, we just, if you will, kind of mirrored the process of how it happens in medical and did the same thing for fire and for police. So we then early developed a fire curriculum committee and a police curriculum committee, and essentially the people who were in the protocol committee were also coming across to be part of the curriculum members in the development of the police and fire protocol.
Basically, when you're a center of excellence, 20 points are very important, but one of the most important points of these 20 points is, in my opinion, the quality assurance aspect, because you need to know if your performance is good, and you need to measure this. So it's not only a requirement to become a center of excellence, it's, in my opinion, a mandatory activity in every center that is using the protocol.
What I've learned over the years is that we don't provide protocols or treatment or management, but we provide care, C-A-R-E, and it begins right there over the telephone from our dispatchers, the real heroes in many of these situations.